listening to the Dynasty.
What up, what up, what up? Listen, this is the Dynasty Overload podcast. Please, guys, like and subscribe. Get those likes up. Get those subscribes up. Listen, and share us, guys. Get us out to your friends. Listen, get this knowledge to the people that you say that you love, right? All right, anyways, guys, we got a great show for you tonight. We're talking our top 5 Dynasty running back risers, okay? So not the rank, but the risers. All right. So guys that you can buy low, or guys that we just sitting there thinking is going to probably outdo their ADP. All right. And listen, guys, I'm joined by my great co-host, Mr. D. Sheelor. How you doing, brother?
What up? Ready to go, man.
Let's go. And we are joined by Mr. Dev. Listen, Mr. Dev's a great guy, man. We've been playing in all these different dynasty leagues with him. This guy is great. He said he was new, but listen, this guy been playing like a veteran to me. So, I don't know. He might just be pulling the wool over our eyes. How you doing, brother?
Doing good.
That's what's up. All right, guys, we're gonna get right into this thing. We're gonna start with Mr. D. Sheelor. Mr. D. Sheelor, give us your number one running back riser.
Okay. Number one running back riser for me is none other than Mr. Jahmyr Gibbs, with the landing spot of actually going to the Detroit Lions. My comp for him coming out of college, and what's so great was for me, I was a big fan of his at Georgia Tech. So I remember talking to our fellow co-host, Mr. Manny, about him about 2 years ago. And I said, this guy's electric. And then he gets in this transfer portal and he goes to Alabama. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's out the bag now. He's about to kill. And he goes to Alabama and he dominates. Puts on a show, running between the tackles, has elite pass catching. And when I would look at him, I would say, cool, this guy's a faster Alvin Kamara. And then the draft happens. And you see the Detroit Lions war room go bananas because they had the 6th pick. They trade down to the 12th pick. And all along, they wanted Jahmyr Gibbs, is what the story comes out afterwards. So they end up grabbing this guy at 12. You see pandemonium. A lot of times you see some high-fiving. You see some guys, a little composed. They went nuts. It literally goes viral in terms of how excited they are about having Jahmyr Gibbs. Because guess what? DeAndre Swift was on his way out of there, and they were bringing in a guy who they believed to be their Alvin Kamara. If you know Dan Campbell, he actually comes from the New Orleans Saints. They want to actually instill that same culture.
Okay. So listen, we're gonna move right along to Mr. Dev. Sheelor, Sheelor got to talk to Cricket about his internet. Hey, Mr. Dev, what's going on? Who's your number one?
I think that it's probably the.
Hey, brother, you're a little muffled again.
I think it's the obvious one here. I'm gonna go. My number one's gonna be Bijan Robinson. I think he goes to the most ideal spot from a dynasty point of view. He goes to an offense that wants to run the ball, and he's a back that can stay in there all downs. If you look at Tyler last year, he had great numbers, and Bijan overtowers him. Bijan is a better back than he is.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Bijan there. I think that's the obvious one for a lot of people.
Bijan is a better version of the same guy. It's the craziest thing. He's like so Tyler Algier is not even Walmart. He's the Dollar General version of Bijan. So that definitely should work. I love that one. I'm gonna give you guys my first one. So my first RB riser is Najee Harris. Listen, and the reason I'm going Najee is because I think that everybody started understanding his value, but like he was so undervalued after last year. I mean, you could buy this guy for literally nothing. I bought Najee in a league for 2 seconds last year, 2 second-round picks because people were so low on him, and I was just in there just trying to pick him up wherever I could. So that's going to be my riser because now people are starting to look at that market share that he had in Pittsburgh and starting to say, hey, well, the offensive line is better. The offensive pieces around him is better. And he's getting fed the ball and thrown the ball so often that, this is just a great buy here. I'm like, yeah, you should have been on him. You should have sold him like you did.
And he played with injury all year.
And he played with an injury all year. So so he's my number one guy there, because I've been seeing Najee go in like the 6th round. So if you can get Najee in the 6th round, I think that's great value for him. So he's a riser for me. I'm gonna go ahead and go to my second one. And it's gonna be another guy that's has been hurt, but that's gonna be Mr. Javonte Williams. And the reason that he's a riser for me is because I'm starting to hear good things about his injuries, and that those could be false reports. But if he is on the road to recovery, like people are saying that he is, to me, that is a great buy right now, because in that offense, they didn't really add any other running backs in the draft or anything like that. I just knew they were going to add somebody in the draft. I could listen, if I had money, I would have lost it, because I just knew that they were going to add somebody. I thought it was automatic, because I didn't think they had enough there. So so that means that, to me, they believe that Javonte is gonna be healthy for the start of the season, and they believe that he's gonna be still as productive as he was the years before. So with that being said, he's a riser for me because you can buy him super low. Mr. Sheelor?
I'm not gonna message you on either one of those. I think Najee Harris definitely has a tremendous opportunity to really go ahead and kind of make some things go forward for him. His year one was kind of crazy because he caught a bunch of passes because Ben Roethlisberger was like, "Here, hot potato. I don't want to get hit.
Noodle on
it, right?" So it's very interesting because I think the hype for him in year one was kind of crazy, but I think the baseline for him is actually too low. So definitely love that. And then Javonte Williams, I'm hoping that he can have a healthy return.
Yeah.
Typically, what you'll see is that bounce back after a year coming out of an injury. Typically, it's that next year, like mid-season. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely someone that I'll be looking to buy, but definitely want to be patient with him if you do buy him. Right?
Yeah.
He might bring it home for you down the stretch.
And that's something that I left off because one thing I failed to mention is he's a great buy, not just for this year, but because we're talking dynasty. Like when he comes into this next season, he is going to be like, if you had got him in the 6th or 7th round, he's an excellent buy if you're a guy that's not so worried about, hey, winning right now. So that's it. So, Mr. Sheelor, give us your number 2.
J.K. Dobbins. Okay. This is a guy who now should be fully recovered from injury. He was an absolute beast coming out of Ohio State. He's in that running backfield there with Lamar Jackson. So very excited about seeing him really have an opportunity. This is a contract year. If he can stay healthy, J.K. Dobbins really has enormous potential and literally can be the home run threat that they need also to actually keep Lamar from having to run so much. Mm-hmm. So very excited about what's going on, excited about the weaponry around him, excited that Mr. Roman is gone as offensive coordinator, and the fact that you actually have legit receiving options around him. So you can't actually load in on the run anymore. So I think you're going to see more of an Eagle-style attack this year. We're able to see Lamar move more in space versus running more of like a power game with the read option. And that's going to bode very well for J.K. Dobbins.
I like that. I think he has great potential. My one thing with J.K. is I've always heard great things about J.K. I just don't feel like I've ever seen great things with J.K. And maybe that's rectified this year. I just never seen him. I've never felt like I watched him run the ball and thought, oh man, this guy is a top back in the league.
Yeah, and I would say this: his 2020 rookie year, he only had 134 carries, 805 yards, 6 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns. So if you want to see anything, go take a look at the rookie film. It's there, and the stats actually laid it out. If you put that over and you now put that in the saying he's getting 250 carries, That's phenomenal
But
productivity.
if he's getting hurt on 160 carries, how's he going?
Well, of course, we're talking about an injury. We're not saying, we're saying if he stays healthy, if he stays healthy, you actually said you hadn't seen it. I'm saying go look at his rookie film and look at the stats. Even 2022, last year, he averaged 5.7 yards per carry. Like, you're excited about Najee Harris, right?
Yeah.
Because he has an improved offensive line. But 4 yards per carry, that's a hard thing for him to get.
Don't
mess with me. I mean, you messing on your own take.
Oh no, I'm with you. But listen, Najee over JK. Who you want more, Najee or JK?
Give me JK, because I think I'm going to be able to get him at a lower price point.
Okay, definitely,
and definitely more potential. I think the Ravens offense should be more explosive than Pittsburgh's offense.
Okay, but he's also going to be probably still splitting with Gus.
I'm not sure.
We'll see. Mr. Deb.
My number 2 is going to be, it's another one of those takes where I hate the team, but I cannot deny the talent. I'm taking Tony Pollard here.
Okay.
Tony Pollard is RB1 material last year.
Yeah.
And he was RB2 on the team.
Yeah.
With Ezekiel gone, and they might sign him back, but he's just going to be a complimentary back. If they do sign Zeke back. So my take is Tony Pollard is going to be. I mean, they drafted Deuce Vaughn too.
Yeah.
But that was late.
Yeah. And his dad's on the team, so it's like it could just be like ode to his dad. My thing with Tony Pollard is because listen, I agree with you about the talent. But Tony Pollard's coming off like with a broke leg.
And fractured fibula.
That's a broken leg, and then he's like. And it's like, you're going to increase this man's workload. I just think that he's better. And I think he's better in a complementary role, getting you RB1 numbers as opposed to being in a true RB1 role where he might just have too many touches. But listen, if he doesn't get hurt, I mean, he could be RB1 on the season, bar none. With the type of talent that he has, I definitely agree with that. I would just say that I'm, just thinking about that workload in his body.
Other than Deuce Vaughn, I mean, who else do they got?
Nobody.
They got Ronald.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody.
Ronald Jones.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. I agree. Nobody.
Yeah.
If they think they're getting something out of Ronald Jones, listen, they're in for a big surprise.
So I think Dallas is a team that's going to actually add another back in the offseason. And I think when that happens, I think you kind of see that timeshare kind of balance out a little bit more.
Well, they need
Kareem Hunt.
Exactly.
They need. That's what they need to add. Kareem Hunt. I was going to say, let's not keep going to Lenny. Let's go Kareem Hunt. I think Kareem Hunt would be somebody. That's a great back to add to a backfield.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Hey, Mr. David, hit us off with your number 3.
Number 3 is my boy, Alexander Mattison.
Let's go.
I love Alexander Mattison in the situation that he's in with, they're talking about just cutting Delvin. They're not even talking about trades anymore. They're talking about cuts. Mm-hmm. So Alexander Mattison to me is a younger Delvin Cook. I don't see a situation with Alexander Mattison in the backfield, maybe with Dwayne McBride, but Dwayne McBride's just going to get Alexander Madison's old role, and Alexander Madison's going to jump right into Delvin Cook's role. And Alexander Mattison can catch the ball, and he runs hard. He runs with a lot of effort. And I really like the Delvin Cook leaving there and Alexander Mattison rising.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I do like it. I think that Alexander Mattison is. I did a video on this. I think Alexander Mattison is a great buy. I'm not an Alexander Mattison guy, but I do understand that him getting that opportunity, especially where you're getting him at, and Dev's been getting him super late. Dev's been consistently getting Mattison super late. I think where you're getting him at is man, incredible for what he can potentially. He's a potential RB1. My thing about Madison though is if you look at his yards per carry, they are going down on a year-to-year basis, and so I just feel like what you get from him productive wise kind of goes down, and then when he's been featured like as the RB1 on the team, and when Cook is down, I don't think he performs as well as when he comes in as a supporting role. So those are the things that will kind of scare me, but at the same time, he has a lot of potential. What say you, Sheelor?
I like Alexander Madison. I think it's a great buy, especially if you can get him low. I have him in a lot of leagues, so I'm hoping for a Dalvin Cook cut as soon as that happens.
Well, listen, guys, you guys know I'm big on Dwayne McBride, and I told myself that I'm not going to talk about him tonight, so we'll move right along. Mr. Sheelor.
Rachaad White. This guy has enormous potential. Okay. He can definitely catch the ball. He can be a 3-down back, and Leonard Fournette's been cut. That's all I need to know. Baker Mayfield's actually going to be the quarterback. Tom Brady's gone. There's receiving options out there, so you don't have to actually focus in on just against them. So definitely give me all of Rachaad White. There was no draft capital for anyone else coming in. Do also like Sean Tucker as a handcuff with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else that has enormous potential, did go undrafted, but someone that if I can grab in the 3rd or 4th round of a rookie startup draft, I'm grabbing to pair with them.
Okay, and then so let me go with mine, and I like it. I love Rachaad White. White. He could potentially be a top 15 running back, maybe even top 10. He could probably bust into there. I think that's a great buy there. So I'm gonna go with my number 3, which is gonna be listen, and this is more so value over longevity, but this is gonna be Mr. James Conner. I think that like even on that team that you're probably not going to say is not going to do that much, my thing is James Conner doesn't really have any competition. So if you are somebody that went that zero running back scheme or something like that, then if I'm doing zero running back, then I'm definitely hunting a James Conner super late because you can get him in round 10, round 11, round 12. It's crazy. At that type of value, with him basically being the RB1, and at that type of value, if you're doing that zero running back scheme, then all you really need is about 10 to 12 points out of your running back position for your 1 or your 2. If you can do that, then that's an amazing buy. So that's why he's a riser for me, because you guys know I'm low on. I buy running backs low. If you're paying attention to me, you usually see me buy running backs very low. So he's a riser. Sheelor, you got the lemon face. What's going
on? James Conner sucks.
What was his numbers? What was his numbers last year? Where did he finish?
I'm not worried about last year.
Where did he finish?
No. Here's the thing. I'm not worried about his last year because he's walking into a season where we don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play at all. No, hold on.
When Kyler Murray went down last year, he still put up numbers.
Here's the thing. We're looking at Kyler Murray going down. We're looking at a brand new coach. We're looking at negative game scripts for this team. When you see running backs produce that are not really pass catchers and have injury history, right? Typically, it's when you have positive game script. They're not getting up on anybody. They're going to get beat down. I look for them literally to have the worst record in the league this coming season. So I'm sorry. I'm out on James Conner. I'm okay with grabbing him in a zero RB strategy. Maybe he falls in the end zone a couple of times. But I think this team is an accident waiting to happen. Their best player on defense, Buda Baker, once out, has requested a trade. Like, there's just nothing about the Cardinals that says I want any parts of them at all. So that's why I'm out. Like, it's not, hey, you can, if you grab him late and he's there, that's fine. But that's not a plan. That's like a bailout. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you go into it as your plan. I'm going to read off James Conner's last 7 games. This is without Kyler Murray. 23 points. This is fantasy points per game. 23 points, 13, 21, 23, 18, 25, and 14. This is without Kyler Murray. This is on a bad Arizona team. What I'm telling you is, if you can get this type of production out of a running back that late, or even if you're just adding, say, hey, I got my 2 running backs and I need good veteran presence in the back. This is somebody you want to be buying. He's productive.
But my problem is we're saying a riser. There's nothing about him that says that he's a riser in Dynasty.
He's a riser because they did. He's a riser because they
guy on a competitive team is trying to win. He is not a riser in Dynasty.
He's a riser in Dynasty because we all believed that they were going to add somebody in the draft. So a lot. That's one of the reasons that people were so low on Connor. It's like, they're probably going to add somebody in this historically deep running back draft. They didn't add anybody. So with that being said, now Connor's highly productive and he's unchallenged. He's a riser for me.
That's why you finished below me in a lot of leagues.
What league? What league? Only the ones I was thinking in. Catch me in I remember I won.
Yeah, see,
Mad Dash.
You trying
Mad Dash.
You got a blind squirrel finds a net sometimes.
Oh, I hear you. Listen, I'm coming for the one spot again in Mad Dash. I wonder if I had Connor in that league. Connor probably drove me to the championship.
We're gonna find out. Right. It's hilarious.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and go with my number 4. And that's going to be David Montgomery. David Montgomery, for me, I believe that both backs are going to be productive in that Detroit system. I believe that you can. I think that people got so low on Montgomery because of Gibbs, but they weren't really paying attention to the fact that Detroit, even last year, had both running backs going, and they wanted both running backs going. And even a year prior, both running backs, they had 2 running backs going at the same time.
They had both 3.
Exactly. So and they were producing numbers. So I definitely believe, and one thing that I've stressed out on this show is the idea of the 3-down running back is going away. Not to say that there's not somebody that can do all 3 downs, but to say that most teams don't want a running back getting that many touches anymore. Most teams want to change the pace. They want complementary guys. Most teams want to do a committee approach to the running back thing. That way they don't have to pay the guys, and that way they keep the guys fresh. So because of that, you kind of got to at some point accept the idea that 2 running backs are going to be in a system and they can both be productive. And like I said, I think a lot of people are off David Montgomery, and I think he's going to be productive. I really do. So everywhere that I have him at, I'm still pretty happy with him there, even though I think that Gibbs is going to do great. But I think that Gibbs is going to be doing some slot stuff, some scat back stuff, some running stuff. And I think that David Montgomery is going to be playing more so traditional, running back. But I also think there's a role for him and he's going to be productive.
Agreed.
I sure hope so.
It almost doesn't feel right that Sheelor agrees with me.
Agreed. That's something not to agree with. I mean, Jamal Williams did an amazing job in that role last year, and I believe David Montgomery is a more talented version of Jamal Williams. So I'm excited for him.
Let's go. So who's your number 4?
Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders going to Carolina. And I believe that Miles Sanders was criminally underutilized in Philadelphia. Some of it was injury, but a lot of it was game script. Like Boston Scott should never be getting carries over Miles Sanders. The ghost of Jordan Howard a few years ago should have never been getting carries over Miles Sanders. Last year, they actually utilized him. He has his best year. And now he goes to a system in Carolina that now he's going to be unchallenged, essentially. With Foreman actually going to Chicago, he's going to be in a situation where he should be able to touch the ball 15 to 20 times a game. And if that's the case, that's going to lead to a top 10 or top 12, at least an RB1 season for Miles Sanders. As long as he can stay healthy, have their young quarterback there in Bryce Young, that's going to actually be able to kind of balance things off in the passing game. And I'm looking for Miles Sanders. That offensive line did a phenomenal job last year run blocking. That is what they want to do as an identity piece. And he's in a situation where he's reunited with his running back coach, Drew Staley. And he's also reunited with Frank Wright, who knows him very well from Philadelphia. So I'm very excited for Miles Sanders. I'm buying him everywhere.
Nope.
I'm not mad at it. I'm just not as high as you.
It's cool.
Dave, your number 4?
Actually, so just like in a lot of drafts I'm in with you guys, I got sniped on 3 running backs there. That I had on my list. I even had an extra one just in case. I got sniped on Najee, Miles, and Rashad. I'm high on all those guys. I actually sold Rashad to Sheelor for pretty freaking cheap because I could have swore up and down that Tampa was going with Bijan.
Thank you.
I could have swore up and down. So I sold them cheap to Sheelor. Sheelor made out of that one pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. So
it happens.
I could have swore up and down there grabbing Bijan. But off the top of my head, I think if I had to come up with another running back that I'm looking to buy, and actually you can get him fairly late, is Penny. What team?
Philly.
Philly, yep.
Yes, Philly. Penny. They, Miles Sanders is gone now. I think he's going to be a good back there.
So I think that you can get him late, but I think his late price is justified because Penny's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. He really is.
I mean, he is 27, so
he could be great, and he can also, play one game and be hurt be gone the whole season. So
this was the panic mode Sheelor was talking about earlier. I'm like, oh shit, who do I say now?
Right? No, but one thing I wanted to point out is so if you repeat a name, so if a name is repeated here, or somebody agrees heavily, it just kind of means that that's probably somebody you should be looking for on your team because it's probably saying, listen, maybe all of us are dumb. But I think the chances of that is wrong. So I think that, if 2 of us are saying that one guy is pretty good, then one of, I think the chances are high that probably good.
I skipped over my number 2 there and went with Madison or Tony Pollard, but I actually had Najee Harris as my number 2 buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it. Let me go to my last one. All right. So my last one is actually a nod to my second one, and that is this year is going to be P. Ryan. I think that in the case of Javonte's not healthy, I think that getting P. Ryan in the 14th round is a very good buy because once again they didn't really add any backs there. So if you're like, hey, if you're late in your draft, your startup, and you're like, hey, who's somebody I can add that has potential to get me some, really big points? I think that P. Ryan's there, and that's somebody that could possibly get you some big points. And if, say, Javonte's he has a setback, he's not ready at the beginning of the season. Hey, you might have half a season of P. Ryan, getting you, RB2 numbers. So I think that's a good buy that late, and that's why he's a riser for me.
Especially if you can stack him with Javonte and store Javonte till he's healthy.
Absolutely.
I like those combo. So for me, my last back that I want to actually bring up is going to be Mr. Kendre Miller. I think he has enormous potential. Much in the same way Alvin Kamara was buried in his rookie season behind Mark Ingram as well as Adrian Peterson. Kendra Miller appears to be buried at this point behind Alvin Kamara, who had some legal issues, and Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The reason why I don't like Quentin Johnston, I went to look at tape for Quentin Johnston, and all I kept seeing was Kendra Miller dominating the film. And this guy is elite talent. He's 220 pounds, but he has burst. He has everything that you want actually in an elite back. And what's cool is you can grab him super late, you can stash him, but he's somebody that down the stretch. And if Kamara actually gets an injury, maybe even early on.
I didn't know that happened to him again.
Can really.
Hey, bro, I do think you're right on Kendra. I think that Kendra was crazy. And listen, he went so low in his draft, and I was trying to get back up. Dev, did you end up with him? Who ended up with Kendra?
I don't think I ended up with Kendra. Is that? Yeah, it was Sheelor.
11-9. Thank y'all so much.
It was crazy. I was trying to get back up.
I was looking for there too.
I was trying to get back. I was trying so hard to get back up. I was like, is anybody selling picks? I was trying to listen. I was even at one point offering a second. I think Manny was in at that time, and Manny was like, you might not want to do that. But I'm like, bro, this is such a good buy here. It was crazy. And hey, it was what it was. But at some point we're gonna talk about that draft, guys. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. It was another great night with Mr. Dev with Mr. Sheelor. Listen, these guys, I hope you guys learned something, because I learned something from both these guys tonight. Hey, please like, subscribe, and share, guys. Y'all have a good one. Dynasty Overload.